Imagine yourself walking on the Appalachian Trail, surrounded by the serenity of the forest, where the silence is only interrupted by the bird's song and the rustling of leaves in the wind. The trail, usually a refuge of peace and reflection, becomes the setting of a nightmare when you come across a group of strangers bearing something suspicious. Instinct screams that something is wrong. Trying to retreat silently, a branch snaps under your feet, attracting piercing glances. Adrenaline spikes as your eyes meet theirs, and you know you need to flee immediately. Inspired by survival stories like those described by Bear Grylls, you turn and run, feeling branches and leaves hitting your face, similar to a flight described in The Call of the Wild by Jack London, where the protagonist struggles for survival in a wild and hostile environment. In a desperate attempt to escape, you leave the main trail and dive into dense vegetation, your footsteps echoing in your head like a war drum. Spotting a cave ahead, you crawl inside, your heart pounding against your ribs. You hear the stranger's footsteps approaching, stopping at the cave entrance. The sound of their murmuring voices echoes off the cold, damp walls, making each second feel like an eternity. A shadow passes by the entrance, and you press against the rock, recalling stories by H.P. Lovecraft, where characters often find themselves trapped in situations of imminent horror, their minds on the brink of collapse. Eventually, the footsteps fade, and you let out a shaky sigh. You remain hidden, alert to any sign of their return. As night falls, you realize you can't stay in the cave forever. Carefully, you leave and climb a nearby tree, settling among the branches like a primitive hunter. The elevated position offers a better perspective, reminding you of guerrilla tactics used by warriors like Miyamoto Musashi, who used the environment to their advantage in battles. You see their flashlights sweeping the forest below, still searching for you. Exhausted but determined, you wait until they finally give up, leaving you with the unsettling silence of the forest. The night in the forest is long and cold, and every sound amplifies your state of alert. The chirping of crickets, once a soothing sound, now is disturbing. Every noise becomes a possible indicator of danger. You remember the stories of Yuki Onna, the snow woman from Japanese folklore, who appears on the coldest nights, bringing death to the unsuspecting. The fear that the strangers might still be around makes it impossible to relax. When the morning light finally begins to break through the trees, you carefully climb down from the tree, feeling every muscle protest from the tension and cold of the past night. The daylight brings a false sense of security, but you know you need to keep moving. Following an improvised course, you advance through the forest, always attentive to sounds or signs that you're being followed. Every snapping branch or shadow movement makes your heart race. After a few hours, you find a stream and decide to follow it, hoping it will lead you to a way out of the forest. The sound of running water is both calming and stimulating, reminiscent of the detailed survival descriptions in the jungle made by Rudyard Kipling in The Jungle Book. As you walk along the stream, you begin to relax a little, believing the strangers have fallen behind. But suddenly, you hear voices in the distance. Your heart races again, and you quickly hide behind a large bush. Peering through the leaves, you see the strangers, now armed, following the stream. They are determined to find you. Your mind races, trying to think of a way to escape this new imminent threat. Remembering the urban guerrilla tactics used by Sun Tzu in The Art of War, you decide to move parallel to the stream, staying out of sight. Each step is carefully calculated to avoid any sound that might reveal your position. After an exhausting walk, you spot a small wooden cabin. Approaching cautiously, you check if it is safe and enter, locking the door behind you. Inside, you find some basic supplies that might be useful. Sitting on the cabin floor, you think about your next step. Staying there is not safe in the long run, but you need a plan. You remember seeing a map of the area before you started your hike, and try to mentally reconstruct the route to the nearest town. Every sound outside makes your heart leap, but you know you need to rest and gather strength for the next stage of the escape. The next morning, you prepare to leave the cabin. With a small stock of food and a water bottle, you feel a little more confident. Slowly opening the door, you check the surroundings before stepping out. Walking quietly through the forest, you trace a route in the direction you believe to be the town. Your mind is focused on survival, and each step is taken with care and determination, like a hero in an epic journey by Tolkien. Finally, after hours of walking, you hear the distant sound of cars. With renewed hope, you quicken your pace until the trees begin to open up, revealing a paved road. Seeing a police patrol in the distance, you wave frantically, catching their attention. The officers stop, and you run to them, quickly recounting your terrible experience. They listen attentively and promise to help you find the culprits. Finally, you are safe, but the memory of those dangerous strangers and the escape through the forest will stay with you forever. Like the heroes of Stephen King's suspense stories, you survived the unimaginable, but the emotional scars are deep and lasting.